Welcome to Royal Daily Report, where we bring you the most explosive and exclusive royal stories that no one else dares to cover. I'm your host, and today we have a story that will shock you to your core. This is breaking news that could change everything you thought you knew. Let's get started. Piers Morgan has dropped something new, and this time it isn't a joke, a jab, or another loud headline. He says he has fresh evidence that could flip Meghan Markle's entire pregnancy story upside down. And the moment he hinted at it, the royal world froze. Because Piers didn't ask a soft question. He went straight for the truth. People were too scared to whisper. What if Meghan's pregnancy wasn't real? This one sentence was only the beginning, because what comes next, nothing can prepare you for it. The trail Piers followed didn't lead to a palace. It didn't lead to a hospital. It led to something far stranger. A tiny costume shop no one had ever connected to royalty. A shop known for building hyper-realistic prosthetic bellies used by actors. A shop whose owner claims someone connected to Meghan sent a message with measurements, fitting instructions, and precise details for a custom pregnancy piece. Not a Halloween costume, not a prop for a charity event, but something built to look real and move like the real thing. This is the secret nobody was ready to hear. Because if even a piece of this allegation holds truth, then Meghan's most personal chapter, the one the world protected, celebrated, and believed, may not be what it seemed. And just like that, Piers Morgan didn't just spark a conversation. He cracked open a door that was never meant to be opened, a door leading straight into the heart of a royal mystery. Before we continue with this shocking revelation, make sure to subscribe to Royal Daily Report right now. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any breaking royal news. This wasn't a toy shop with children's costumes. This wasn't a Halloween store with plastic props. The place at the center of this storm specialized in hyper-realistic film prosthetics. Pieces so real actors wear them under bright studio lights without anyone noticing the difference. They build new bodies for characters, scars, limbs, and yes, pregnancy bellies. According to the shop owner, one day a message arrived. Not a question, not a friendly inquiry, a commission. The message allegedly came from Meghan Markle or her representatives, and it wasn't vague. It contained detailed measurements, specific fittings, precision notes, instructions only a professional would understand. This wasn't for something simple. It wasn't a quick order. The request, the owner claimed, was for a custom-fitted pregnancy prosthetic shaped exactly to the wearer's body, crafted to move naturally, designed to look real from every possible angle. The shop owner was stunned. These kinds of requests come from film studios, production companies, directors preparing for a movie scene, but never from a member of a royal household. That single detail never from royalty is what caused the earth beneath this story to crack. Because if the request was real, then the question returns louder than before. Why would Meghan need this? This was the turning point. This was the moment the story stopped being a rumor and became a puzzle with one missing piece, glowing like a warning light. Every story has a moment where the spotlight suddenly shifts. In this one, it turns away from Meghan and lands directly on Prince Harry. During Meghan's pregnancy journey, Harry wasn't just a husband. He was her defender, her shield, her voice. When she felt voiceless, he stood in front of cameras, holding her hand, telling the world she was strong, brave, hurting, hopeful. So, when the allegation of a prosthetic belly surfaced, a new question echoed across the story, like a bell no one knew how to silence. Where was Harry in all of this? The truth branches into only two paths. Path 1, Harry knew. If he knew, then he wasn't simply a witness. He was a partner in creating a polished story that looked like real life. He helped protect it, present it, defend it. He allowed the world to believe something that maybe wasn't true. That version of the story paints Harry as someone willingly shaping a narrative, someone who saw the illusion and helped keep it alive. Path 2, Harry didn't know. This path is even darker, because how does a man who lives with his pregnant wife every single day not notice something this important? How could it be hidden? Why would it be hidden? What wall stands between two people for such a secret to exist? If Harry didn't know, then the story becomes one of secrecy, of quiet decisions made behind closed doors, of a marriage carrying a fracture no one talked about. Neither path is comforting. Neither path fits the fairy tale the world was sold. And that is why this chapter hits with such force. No matter which path is true, something cracks. The dream couple the world once cheered for suddenly looks human, fragile, and complicated. Stay with Royal Daily Report for more shocking details. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. For Meghan and Harry, reputation isn't a decoration. It is their entire world. When they stepped away from royal duties, they didn't take titles with them. They didn't take palaces or power or centuries-old influence. They took their story. Their story became their shield, their selling point, their Hollywood handshake, their brand. Producers invested in their emotions. Companies partnered with their struggle. Millions followed their reinvention. Their influence was not built on crowns or castles. It was built on belief. Belief that their words were honest. Belief that their journey was authentic. Belief that their struggles were real. But a pregnancy allegation, especially one involving motherhood, vulnerability, and heartache, shakes the entire foundation. Every story has a moment when the question becomes bigger than the answer. And this is that moment, because if Meghan ever requested a prosthetic belly, even once, even hypothetically, then the entire world is forced into a deeper, darker psychological loop. Who carried the real pregnancy? Who gave birth to the children? And what does that mean for everything we believed? These questions aren't small. They're not gossip. They're not noise. They are cracks that split straight down the center of a royal story that was supposed to be unbreakable. And once the idea exists, once the shopkeeper's allegation breathes air, the mind begins to follow the only path it can. If the belly was fake, then what was real? Who carried the children? Was there a surrogate? Was that hidden? Was it strategic? Was it planned? Or was it something more complicated, something rooted in fear, image, and survival? None of these questions prove the allegation, but they reveal how fragile the narrative truly is. Because the moment a single detail feels controlled, every other detail starts to wobble. This expose didn't just raise suspicion. It blew open doors the world never expected to walk through. Doubt is a strange creature. It doesn't burst through the door with anger. It doesn't shout or stomp or demand attention. It slips in quietly, soft as a shadow, and suddenly everything looks different. That is what happened after the allegation surfaced. People didn't scream. People didn't riot. They simply paused. And in that pause, the story changed. The belly rubs Meghan shared on royal tours, once seen as sweet, motherly moments, now look different. The photos of her holding her bump, once seen as tender, now sit under a quiet cloud. The interviews about loneliness and pain, the tears and documentaries, the speeches about motherhood and struggle, all of them are being rewatched in a new light. Not with hatred, but with hesitation. Because doubt is gentle, but powerful. It doesn't erase memories. It recolors them. People begin to wonder, was everything what it seemed, or was something being performed for them? This chapter isn't about blame. It's about a shift in the air. The moment when innocence slips away and certainty melts into maybe. And once doubt settles in, it rarely leaves. Keep watching Royal Daily Report for the latest updates on this developing story. Subscribe now to stay informed. Every great expose reaches the point where the world holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next. This story has now arrived at that moment because somewhere out there is a shopkeeper who claims to have been approached with a request. A custom-made pregnancy prosthetic built with cinematic precision. If that shopkeeper ever steps forward with a receipt, an invoice, an email, a photograph, a production record, then this story doesn't become a scandal. It becomes a historic rupture. A complete rewriting of Meghan's public identity. A tearing down of what millions believed was real. A moment that would ripple through Hollywood, the royal world, and every interview Meghan ever gave. And even without proof in the open, something irreversible has already happened. The world now waits. Not for Meghan's next speech, not for Harry's next interview, but for the next piece of evidence. Because once the idea of a secret enters a story, every corner of that story becomes a question. Who else knew? How long did it last? Why was it needed? What was the plan? This chapter holds the tension, the silence before the storm that may or may not come, the moment where possibility becomes power. Most stories end when the curtain drops, but this one ends differently. Here, the curtain rises because this is not the end of Meghan's story. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one she does not control, one shaped by questions, one powered by doubt, one carried by the possibility that something deep inside the fairy tale was never real. People aren't waiting for closure. They are waiting for truth. They are waiting to see whether the shopkeeper speaks, whether evidence appears, whether the quiet question that started all this will finally find an answer. This story now lives in a space between what was said and what might have been done. A space where illusions wobble. A space where performances unravel. A space where truth, whatever it is, stands on the other side of the curtain, ready to step forward. And when it does, the world will be watching. Not because they want Meghan to fall, but because they want the story to finally finish the sentence it began. For now, the lights do not dim. The music does not fade. The ending does not settle. The stage is waiting. The audience is leaning forward. And the story has only just begun. That's all for today's groundbreaking episode of Royal Daily Report. This story is far from over, and we'll be bringing you every update as it develops. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report so you don't miss a single detail of this investigation. Hit that like button, share this video with everyone who needs to know the truth, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm your host, and this has been Royal Daily Report. Delivering the stories that matter, the truth that shocks, and the news that changes everything. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.